Since 1954, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope in our community. As we mark 7 decades of dedication to your well-being, Terrebonne General Health System remains committed to advancing healthcare, improving lives, and expanding our services to meet your evolving needs. In celebrating our past, we look forward to a future filled with promise and progress. Your health is our legacy. To discover more, visit tghealthsystem.com.
If cooking is your thing, you got to listen to this segment because we have the famous Miss Marcelle Bienvenu. I used to watch you on New Orleans TV I'm not going to say way back then because you're not that old. But when it was all fun, we only had about 3 channels.
That's right.
On, and you would come on, and you had such a great following, and you've done really well. So you have a new book that just came out, Who's Your Mama? Are You Catholic? Let's bring it up, Jay, if we can, right off the bat. Who's your mama? Are you Catholic? And can you make a roux? You have been featured on so many things, probably too numerous to mention in 2 segments, but you've really made a great name for yourself. Before we get to the book, what made you want to do this? When did you know you had a knack for this?
Ella Brennan told me. Well, I had met Ella when I was working on the Time Life cookbook in the early 70s, I guess. Mm-hmm. And we just got to be good friends. And she asked me to come work at Commanda's. And I said, oh, no, Ella. I said, I don't work at night, on weekends, holidays. Oh, she said, I would never make you do that. Well, she lied. But I worked, I was off every other Monday.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. And that's where she was the one that told me, why don't you just write about food? Mm-hmm. And in, I guess, 84, the Times-Picayune was without a cooking columnist. So she said, well, I'm going to call them. They can let you work there. And I worked there for 33 years at the Times-Picayune. I did a column for 33 years.
But you've been around all the big shots.
Well, I was lucky, working at Commanda's. Yeah. Then I worked with Paul Prudhomme.
Yeah.
He came to Commanda's when I was still there. Mm-hmm. Then when they hired Emerald, we got to be friends with him. And I was with him for 15 years. I'd worked on 4 of his books.
Yeah. And you worked with John False.
Yeah.
I was teasing my rich cousin.
I taught at Nichols 11 years.
Yeah. But you were around all those 8 personalities. How'd you bridle all those 8 personalities?
I have no idea. I just think the stars kept lining up because I've been very, very fortunate to been able to work with a lot of these people.
Now, you're from St. Martinville.
St. Martinville.
Yeah, so what was it like growing up in St. Martinville?
Idyllic. I didn't know it until I grew up, but it's a very small historic town. Yeah. And my father, we had the newspaper business in St. Martinville. And they established it in 1886. And my father came after my grandfather, then my brother. And my brother passed away about a year ago. So it is not in our hands anymore.
Right.
But I was around the newspaper business a lot.
So you started writing cookbooks.
Yeah, and this book, the Who's Your Mama book, was first published in 1990. Yeah. And it was going to be just for local. There was a person in Lafayette that offered to publish it, make 5,000 copies. Mm-hmm. And it kept selling. And this is the 5th redo. All the rest of them have been in just black and white. But this is full of color photos. And it's all the same stories and the same recipes from the previous Who's Your Mama. We just dressed it up with color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your name is just synonymous with doing great stuff and really diving into your passion is what you're doing. But you're one of those examples for people that you just did it. You went out and did it.
Well, it was but I think that's one of the turning points for me anyway. In 1964, I went to Washington, D.C. as poor me. Anyway, worked for Senator Allender and Congressman Willis.
Yeah.
And after about 2 weeks, I called my mother. I said, Mom, this is not working. She said, what's the matter? I said, there's no gumbo here. And that's when I didn't realize everybody didn't eat like we did.
Right.
And I thought that was very curious. And that's kind of made me want to think about why do we eat what we eat? And I like researching how the Acadian, when we were little, did your mama say you were eating Cajun food? No. Whatever you fixed,
We
you
just ate.
And we would go to New Orleans, but nobody said, "Hey, you're eating Creole food."
Right.
So,
but we blended everything together.
well, I think Paul Prudhomme, when he came on the scene, I think he was such a creative guy, and who would not believe somebody like that?
Right.
Yeah. And he used to, when he came to command us, he fixed Ella Brennan and the Brennans a meal, and it was a Merleton shape that he had cut to look like a pirogue, and it was filled with fried shrimp and fried oysters with a béarnaise sauce with tasso in it. And I went, I never had that at my house when I was little. So he was very creative using the ingredients that were available here.
That's my dad. One of my dad's favorite plants was Merleton. Yeah.
We used to have one that it covered the whole back fence. It seemed like it was always. It seemed like it went for 4 months. It never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before my dad passed away, the one thing he told me is take care of my Merleton plant.
And have you?
I did what I did is I put heaters on it in the winters. I did everything I could. They're very temperamental.
Yes, they are.
You got to really watch them and do all kind of things with them. So let me ask you this. So you started, when did you know that everybody at one point, something clicks and they go, man, I got this. When did you know you had a knack for this?
I think writing the column for 33 years was very challenging. And it was called Cooking Creole, so I couldn't, I did have some Italian dishes and some, other stuff. Yeah. But it was to come up with something for every week for 33 years was a big challenge.
That's hard.
And teaching, well, I would never have thought I would have taught. When they called me from Nichols in 2009, I guess, I went, I've never taught a class. But it was really interesting to see, to teach students. Right. That was very challenging.
I guess for students, we know we go and we love what we eat, but nobody ever taught us how to make the dishes.
Well, my last year, I was in Rouse's in Thibodeau, and I saw one of my students reaching for a box of jambalaya mix. And I went, go put that back. He said, well, Chef, you can make it in 15 minutes. I said, well, that's the problem. Right. You should be with your family or friends, and everybody's in the kitchen and chopping, and it should be a 4-hour affair. You're missing all the fun with your box.
Should be an event.
Yeah.
An event. Let's do this. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Just a world famous. She's been all over the place, and you heard the names that she's cooked with or been around and taught with. So we're going to tell you more about the book right after the break. Don't go away.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
All right, we are back with Miss Marcelle. Bienvenu. Let me tell you, she's been on Creole Cajun cooking for the Times-Picayune, Time Life Books, has been featured in Garden and Gun, Food and Wine. How do you say that? Sévure? Sévure? It's a French name.
Sévure.
Sévure? Okay. Wanted to make sure I got that right. Okay. And then Southern Living, Red Book, the New York Times, Louisiana Life, Acadian Profile. And you've just been around all kind of great chefs. You've hung around I guess we call them the mighty in the kitchen, right?
Mighty, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You've been around some heavyweights in the kitchen. And so let's get to the cookbook. What's in the cookbook?
We have almost 200 recipes, and it's the same stories and the recipes that were in the first Who's Your Mama book that was published in 1990. And it's been redone 4 or 5. This is the 5th redo. And this one's all full of color photos. And it was really talk about a challenge. We had to cook just about every recipe in the book because we were taking pictures. And we had some students from the culinary school and some friends, and we cooked it. And we only had 2 bad recipes that we had to fix. And I went, nobody has called me on those at all. Or maybe nobody ever fixed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a stuffed leg of lamb and it called for 10 pounds of spinach. Well, we only needed 2.
Right.
So we fixed that. And then we had a pecan pie recipe. It says, bake at 350. You're on your own now. But it was really great because I was glad to see somebody else fix the food and see that it worked. And they were they said, it's all very simple. I said, well, it should be simple.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's people's favorite recipes that you found over the years? What does it deal with? Chicken, beef?
well, I think coming from this area, gumbo and jambalaya.
Okay. Yeah.
And people talk about it, and people are very, we always had a jambalaya with a little bit of tomatoes in it.
Yeah.
Now, around here, that's almost a sin. Yeah. I had one student, I made him make jambalaya. He said, I can't eat it, it has tomatoes in it. I went, oh, okay. But I think that everybody has their own, who makes the best gumbo? Your grandma or your mama or whoever, because that's what you grew up with.
Yeah, right.
And, I never say that's wrong. I said, if you think it tastes good, that's fine, if it's what you want. And I had never seen, until I came to this area, white beans on jambalaya. I'd never seen that.
Really?
And then we never had fried catfish with white beans and rice. We had potato salad.
Yeah.
So, every little place is kind of different.
Do you put your potato salad in your gumbo?
No, I put it on the side.
I put it in the gumbo.
Well, a lot of people do. In fact, somebody brought me some bowls for Christmas, and there's a place for your gumbo and a little place for your potato salad or whatever. In fact, the other day I had a cousin that lived in Opelousas, and they eat sweet potatoes with their gumbo.
Really?
And that is a good contrast.
I've never eaten sweet potatoes with a gumbo.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. I'd rather a good old-fashioned
potato.
But
we talk about food all the time. Ella Brown used to say we have a 24-hour-a-day love affair with food.
That's right.
We want to talk about what we had yesterday. We want what we're going to have for lunch. What's going to have for Sunday dinner.
Right.
So we thrive on that.
You can't go wrong with a good cookbook because everybody wants to learn and they want to pass it on.
Yes, and that is one of the big reasons that I'm glad that we are keeping this alive, because these are all family recipes. It's all simple. It's the gumbos, it's the bouillabaisse, the courgettes, the fried fish. Yeah. There's nothing fancy. But it's what we ate. I never thought about it until I went away, and I went, they don't have good food other than here. I mean, we're so used to it.
Right.
But
it's bland everywhere else. Yeah, where you go, you go. Let me ask you before I forget. How can people get this book?
You can go to my website, marcellebienvenu.com.
All right.
You can get it on Amazon. I think it's still available. I think it's also it's available on Amazon. And we get them at Southdown Plantation. They have in their gift shop.
Yeah. How many books do they print when they go to print? You know how many they print?
We printed 10,000.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's try to move 10,000. Right?
Yeah. Well, we're lucky because we were before Christmas, and that has been a big.
So you've been all over promoting?
I have been.
Yeah. Do you get tired of that?
No, it's fun.
Yeah.
You're
a natural.
Well, it's fun, and you run into people that you haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
At Southdown, I saw some people I went to USL with that I hadn't seen since 50 years ago.
Yeah.
More than 50 years
But you never forget, huh?
Right.
Seems like just yesterday.
It does seem like just yesterday.
Well, good. So I appreciate you coming by and sharing it. Let's bring up the book again, Jay.
Oh, yes,
so
copy.
There you go, right there on the screen. Who's your mama? Are you Catholic? And can you make a roux? Miss Marcelle, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
By. And I hope you move 10,000 books real quick.
Me too.
Hope you go to a second print, right?
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, it would be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Marcelle Bienvenu. We grew up watching her. Telling you, she's a celebrity right here in HTV. I want to thank Lorna Barrar for bringing her here and making this happen. We'll take a short break. We'll come back. A lot more on Bayou Time. Don't go away.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.